All right, so we're diving into this whole stack of research about starting a restaurant in Abu Dhabi. I got to say, even skimming through it, I'm already fascinated. Abu Dhabi seems like a prime spot for, a culinary entrepreneur,
Yeah.
high disposable income, and this mix of cultures. It just screams adventurous palates.
Yeah.
But it's also clear this isn't a market you just, waltz into.
Yeah.
There's a lot to consider from navigating this permit process.
Yeah.
Apparently, you even need a license for music
Oh, yeah.
to understanding these nuances of local tastes,
Yeah.
alongside the expectations of a global audience.
Right.
So that's why I'm so glad to have our expert here. To help us break it all down, let's unpack what's really important, for you to know, shall we?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a dynamic market, a ton of potential, but also some unique challenges. So let's start with the big picture. What's fascinating is that Abu Dhabi's restaurant scene is booming. But it's not just about sheer numbers. It's the diversity of the customer base that's really intriguing. You've got the affluent, the local Emirati population, of course, but also a massive influx of tourists and expats from all over the world: India, the Philippines, the UK, and more.
Right.
This creates a really interesting blend of traditional and international cuisine, with fusion dining becoming a major player.
Okay. So Abu Dhabi is like a culinary melting pot.
Oh.
But that makes it sound, pretty competitive, right? How do you stand out when you're catering to such a diverse audience?
Right. You're going to be up against some heavy hitters here, both
Yeah.
local favorites with loyal followings and big international chains.
Right.
So how do you stand out? You need a strong concept that fills a specific niche. Think about what unique flavors and experiences you can bring to the table that cater to a particular segment of this diverse market.
That makes a lot of sense. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Find your culinary lane and own it.
Speaking of trends, the research also mentioned healthy and sustainable eating becoming popular. Is that just a passing fad? Or is it something that's really taking root in Abu Dhabi?
It's definitely more than a fad. Abu Dhabi residents are becoming increasingly health conscious, seeking organic, plant-based, and sustainable options. This isn't just a trend; it's a lifestyle shift.
Wow.
So if you can incorporate these elements into your concept, you're tapping into a growing market that's passionate about both flavor and value.
Oh, I like that. So healthy and sustainable check. What
Wow.
about technology? Is Abu Dhabi's dining scene as tech forward as the rest of the city? Is everyone ordering through apps and paying with their phones?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Digital ordering, delivery apps, contactless payments, they're all booming.
Wow. Incorporating these technologies isn't just about keeping up with the Joneses. It's about enhancing the customer experience and streamlining your operations. Think about integrated online ordering, loyalty programs, and even using data to personalize your offerings.
Okay, so we've got a sense of the trends, the competition,
Right.
and the tech landscape. But let's get down to brass tacks. What are the actual steps to getting a restaurant off the ground in Abu Dhabi?
Well, before you even start thinking about menus and decor, you need to tackle the legal side of things. And that starts with permits and licenses.
Ah, yes, the dreaded paperwork. I know the research mentioned quite a few. Where should our listener even begin?
First things first, business registration. You'll need to register with the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development, or DED.
Okay.
This is where you choose your legal structure and reserve your trade name. Then you'll need a trade license, specifically a commercial license for the food and beverage sector, which will set you back between 10,000 and 25,000 AED.
Okay, so that's making it official and getting permission to operate.
Yeah.
What else?
Just as important is the food safety license from the Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority, or ADAF-SA.
Okay.
This one focuses on ensuring your restaurant meets strict hygiene and safety standards. They'll want to see detailed plans of your kitchen and food storage areas before conducting an inspection to make sure everything's up to code.
It sounds like ADAF-SA doesn't mess around, but are these inspections really that frequent? What are they looking for exactly? Any insider tips on how to ace those inspections?
ADAF-SA, they take food safety very seriously, and the DO conduct routine inspections. They're looking for everything from proper food storage temperatures and hygiene practices among staff to pest control and waste management. It's all about minimizing risks and ensuring public health.
So maintaining those standards
Yeah.
isn't just about passing an initial inspection. It's an ongoing commitment. Are there any other permits we need to be aware of?
You'll also need a civil defense certificate to ensure fire safety compliance. That means installing fire safety equipment like extinguishers and sprinklers and having them inspected. And depending on your restaurant concept, you might need additional licenses like a signage permit, a music license, yes, even for background music, and an alcohol license.
Wow, you really do need a permit for everything.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel overwhelmed just thinking about all the paperwork.
It can seem daunting, but honestly, most of it is straightforward if you take it step by step. And remember, these regulations are in place to protect both you and your customers.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in the bureaucratic hurdles and forget the bigger picture. So we've got the business registration, the trade license, the food safety license, the civil defense certificate, and then those additional licenses depending on the specifics of the restaurant. Anything else?
One more crucial permit is the food control permit, also from ADF. This one delves deeper into hygiene and safety standards, ensuring your restaurant meets their rigorous requirements. You'll need to submit detailed plans of your kitchen layout, ventilation system, and waste disposal methods. They'll also inspect your equipment and ensure it meets their standards.
Okay, so ADAFSA really does have their eyes on everything. But is there a way to make this process less, intimidating?
Honestly, the best approach is to work with a local consultant who specializes in restaurant setups. They can guide you through the process, help you gather the necessary documentation, and ensure you meet all the requirements. It's an investment that can save you a lot of headaches down the line.
Okay, that's a great tip. Sometimes it's better to have a pro in your corner. So we've tackled the permits and licenses. That's a big one ticked off the list. Now, can we move on to something a little more fun, like location and design? I know the research highlighted the importance of choosing the right spot. What should you be considering when looking for a location in Abu Dhabi?
Location is crucial, just like anywhere else. But in Abu Dhabi, you need to consider foot traffic, aligning the location with your target audience and ensuring it's easily accessible. And of course, you need to make sure the location falls within the designated commercial zones for food and beverage establishments.
So zoning, that's a hurdle you need to clear right out of the gate. But once you found that perfect spot, you can really let your creativity flow with the design.
Right. You definitely have creative freedom, but there are guidelines. Hiring a local interior designer who's familiar with Abu Dhabi's regulations is a smart move. They can help you create a stunning space that meets all the requirements while reflecting your brand's personality.
So professional design plans are a must. What happens next? Do you just submit them and hope for the best?
You'll submit your plans to the Abu Dhabi municipality for review and approval. They'll assess everything from seating arrangements and kitchen layout to ventilation and of course fire safety measures.
Right, safety first. But I'm sure they also care about aesthetics, right? Abu Dhabi is a city known for its stunning architecture.
Absolutely. They want to ensure your restaurant design aligns with the city's overall aesthetic, but they also understand the importance of brand identity. So they'll work with you to create a space that's both beautiful and compliant.
Okay, so we've got permits, location, and design all starting to take shape. It's starting to feel real. But before we get too carried away with the aesthetics, let's talk about the nuts and bolts of getting your restaurant up and running. And by that, I mean utilities.
Yes. The less glamorous but equally important side of things. Yeah. You'll need to connect electricity and water through the Abu Dhabi Distribution Company, or ADBC. And if you're planning on doing any gas cooking, you'll need a connection through ADNOC or a private provider. Be sure to factor these utility costs into your budget as they can be significant.
Okay, that's a good reminder. Utility costs can definitely sneak up on you.
Yeah.
So we've covered permits, location, design, and utilities. Are we forgetting anything?
We've covered the foundational elements, but there's still a lot to discuss. We need to talk about staffing, marketing, and then delve into the ongoing compliance requirements once your restaurant is operational.
Right. There's a whole other layer of complexity once the doors are open.
Yeah.
So let's take a deep breath and tackle those challenges next. All right, we're back and ready to tackle this next layer of setting up your restaurant in Abu Dhabi. Staffing. You can have the most amazing concept and location, but without a great team, it's all for nothing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And staffing in Abu Dhabi has its own set of regulations and considerations. It's not as simple as just hiring whoever walks through the door.
Okay, so let's break it down. What are the key things to keep in mind when building your restaurant team in Abu Dhabi?
Well, first and foremost, anyone who isn't a UAE national will need a work visa and residency permit. As the employer, you're responsible for sponsoring your employees and navigating the visa process through the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratisation.
Okay.
It can be a bit of a bureaucratic maze, so it's often worth working with a specialist who can help with the paperwork.
So sponsorship is a big responsibility for employers.
Mm.
What about the employment contracts themselves? Are there specific requirements in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, you'll need formal contracts that clearly outline job descriptions, salaries, benefits, working conditions, the whole 9 yards. And these contracts need to be registered with the ministry as well. Transparency and compliance are key.
Got it. So everything needs to be official and by the book. What about the balance between hiring local versus expat workers? The research mentioned something called Emiratisation policies, but it wasn't entirely clear what those entail.
Ah, yes, Emiratisation. It's a government initiative to encourage the employment of UAE nationals across various sectors, including hospitality.
Right.
Essentially, it means that companies are encouraged to prioritize hiring Emirati citizens for certain roles. The specific quotas and requirements can vary depending on the size and nature of your business. So it's essential to do your research and ensure you're meeting the obligations.
So it's not just about finding the most qualified candidates. It's also about contributing to the local workforce.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What about things like minimum wage, working hours, and benefits? Are those standardized in Abu Dhabi?
Absolutely. The UAE has very, very clear labor laws that you need to adhere to. For example, the maximum working hours are 8 hours a day, 48 hours a week, with regulations for overtime pay and mandatory rest days. All employees are also entitled to health insurance, which you as the employer are typically responsible for providing.
It sounds like there's a strong emphasis on employee rights and well-being. That's good to hear.
Definitely. Protecting your employees' rights is not just ethical, it's essential for avoiding any legal issues.
Yeah.
And maintaining a positive work environment. Happy employees lead to happy customers, after all.
Speaking of happy customers, let's move on to another crucial element of restaurant success: marketing. How do you make your restaurant stand out in a city as bustling as Abu Dhabi?
Marketing is absolutely key. You could have the best food in the world, but if nobody knows about it, you're not going to survive. And in Abu Dhabi, the competition is fierce.
So where do you even begin? What marketing strategies work best in this market?
First and foremost, you need a strong digital presence. Abu Dhabi is a very tech-savvy city, and people are constantly online. Having a well-designed website and active social media accounts is non-negotiable.
I'm sure Instagram is a goldmine for restaurants. Everyone loves those drool-worthy food photos.
You got it. Instagram and Facebook are fantastic platforms for showcasing your ambiance, your dishes, and any special promotions you're running. High quality visuals are crucial, and engaging with your followers is key. Respond to comments, run contests, ask questions. Keep the conversation going.
Right. It's all about building a community around your brand.
Yeah.
What about online reviews? I know those can make or break a restaurant.
Reviews are huge. Make sure you're listed on platforms like Google My Business and Zomato, and encourage your customers to leave feedback, and don't just ignore the negative reviews. Respond to them professionally and try to address any concerns. It shows potential customers that you care and are willing to improve.
So online reputation management is a must. What about more traditional marketing methods? Are those still relevant in a place like Abu Dhabi?
They can be, depending on your target audience. Print advertising in local magazines or newspapers might be worthwhile if you're targeting a specific demographic. Flyers and partnerships with local businesses can also be effective.
So it's about finding the right mix of online and offline strategies to reach your ideal customer. What about food delivery platforms? I imagine those are pretty popular in Abu Dhabi.
Food delivery is huge EE here. People love the convenience, especially during the hotter months. Partnering with platforms like Talabat, Deliveroo, and Zomato can significantly expand your reach and bring in a whole new customer base.
Makes sense. Convenience is king.
Yeah.
Anything else to consider on the marketing front?
Influencer marketing is worth exploring. Abu Dhabi has a thriving community of food bloggers and social media personalities with dedicated followings. Inviting them for a tasting or collaborating on content can be a great way to generate buzz,
Right.
and reach a wider audience.
Yes, the power of influencers. It seems like there are endless ways to get the word out about your restaurant in Abu Dhabi. It's all about being creative and strategic.
Exactly. And remember, marketing isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of adapting, experimenting, and constantly engaging with your target market.
Okay, so we've covered staffing and marketing, two more big pieces of the puzzle. But what about after the grand opening? What ongoing regulations and compliance requirements do you need to be aware of?
That's an important question. Just because you've opened your doors doesn't mean that the paperwork is over. There are ongoing requirements you need to stay on top of to avoid any issues.
I'm sure ADAF is still keeping a close eye on things, right?
Oh, absolutely. ADAFSA will continue to conduct periodic inspections to ensure your restaurant is maintaining those high hygiene standards and following proper food handling procedures.
So no slacking on the cleanliness front. What about financial compliance? What are the key things to keep in mind?
First off, make sure you're registered for VAT, which is a 5% tax on most goods and services in the UAE. You'll need to file regular VAT returns and keep meticulous records of your income and expenses.
VAT and record keeping, got it. Anything else on the financial side?
Payroll management is crucial. Make sure you're adhering to all the labor laws when it comes to salary payments, processing gratuities, and providing benefits. Transparency and accuracy are essential here.
Right. Treating your employees fairly and legally is a top priority. What about all those licenses and permits we talked about earlier? Do those need to be renewed?
Yes, indeed. Most licenses and permits in Abu Dhabi need to be renewed annually. It's crucial to keep track of those expiration dates and submit your renewals on time to avoid any fines or penalties.
Okay, so annual renewals are a must. It seems like running a restaurant involves a lot of ongoing administrative tasks, even once you're up and running.
It definitely does. But it's all part of being a responsible business owner.
Yeah.
And ensuring your restaurant operates smoothly and legally.
Right. Compliance is key. Now, I know we've bombarded our listener with a lot of information, but before we wrap up this deep dive, I'd love to get your insights on what it takes to thrive in Abu Dhabi's competitive restaurant scene.
Happy to share some thoughts.
So what are some key things our listener can do to not just survive but truly flourish in this market?
I'd say one of the most important things is to truly understand the Abu Dhabi dining landscape and
Right.
know your target audience.
Yeah.
Are you catering to locals, expats, tourists, or a mix of everyone? What are their preferences? What are their dining habits? You need to have a deep understanding of your customer base to create a concept that resonates with them.
Right. It all goes back to knowing your customer. What else is essential for long-term success?
Don't be afraid to innovate. The restaurant scene in Abu Dhabi is constantly evolving. Embrace new technologies. Experiment with different marketing strategies. Try out new menu items and stay on top of the latest trends.
So adaptability and a willingness to experiment are key. What else?
Building customer loyalty is paramount. Creating a rewards program, offering personalized experiences, and engaging with your customers on social media can make a huge difference in turning first-time diners into loyal fans.
Those are all fantastic tips. It seems like long-term success is about staying ahead of the curve, being responsive to your customers' needs, and always looking for ways to improve.
Exactly. Running a restaurant is a constant learning process, but with passion, dedication, and a commitment to excellence, you can definitely achieve your goals.
I love that. Passion, dedication, and a commitment to excellence. Those are the ingredients for success in any field, really.
Well said. And I think that brings us to the end of our exploration of the practical side of things. But before we wrap up, I'd love to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the unique opportunity that Abu Dhabi presents for fusion cuisine.
Oh, yes. Let's get those creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
What are some fusion concepts that you think would really take off in Abu Dhabi? What flavor combinations are just waiting to be discovered?
Well, Abu Dhabi already has a thriving scene for Levantine and Asian fusion, but I think there's so much more potential to explore. Imagine a restaurant that blends the vibrant spices of Moroccan cuisine with the fresh, delicate flavors of Japanese cooking.
Oh, wow.
Or perhaps a concept that marries the rich, aromatic curries of South India with the bold, smoky flavors of Mexican street food.
Oh, those sound incredible. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But it's not just about throwing, random flavors together, right? There needs to be a thoughtfulness and a balance to create a truly, truly successful fusion concept.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where different culinary traditions complement and enhance each other, creating something that's both familiar and exciting. It's about taking diners on a culinary adventure that surprises and delights them.
So it's about storytelling through food, creating an experience that transcends just a meal.
Precisely. And Abu Dhabi, with its diverse population and openness to new experiences, is the perfect canvas for culinary innovation.
I love that. It's inspiring to think about the endless possibilities. But let's be realistic. Fusion cuisine can be tricky. What are some common pitfalls that you've observed? What advice would you give to our listener to avoid those fusion faux pas?
One of the biggest mistakes I see is trying to do too much. Don't try to cram every flavor and ingredient into one dish. Simplicity and focus are key. Choose a few key elements from each cuisine and let them shine.
So less is more when it comes to fusion.
Absolutely. Another common pitfall is not understanding the underlying principles of each cuisine you're working with. It's not just about copying recipes. It's about respecting the traditions and techniques that make each cuisine unique. Do your research, experiment, and taste.
Right. So it's about being a culinary student, not just a copycat chef. What else should our listener keep in mind?
Authenticity is key. Don't just throw together random ingredients because they sound trendy. Make sure the flavors and techniques you're using are grounded in the authentic traditions of each cuisine. Diners can spot a fake from a mile away.
So it's about respecting the culinary heritage, not just appropriating it for the sake of trendiness.
Exactly. And finally, don't forget about presentation. Fusion cuisine is all about visual appeal as well as flavor. Think about how you can use plating and garnishes to create dishes that are as beautiful as they are delicious.
So it's about engaging all the senses, creating a truly immersive dining experience.
You got it. And I think that's a perfect note to wrap up on. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the practicalities of permits and staffing to the creative possibilities of fusion cuisine.
It's been quite a journey, but I think our listeners now armed with a wealth of information to tackle their Abu Dhabi restaurant dream.
I hope so. It's an exciting market with so much potential. I can't wait to see what our listener comes up with.
Me too. And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought-provoking question. Imagine your dream restaurant in Abu Dhabi. It's a fusion concept. What two cuisines would you blend to create a unique and irresistible dining experience? We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into starting a restaurant in Abu Dhabi. Until next time, happy cooking.